Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world. It is once again time for the WADcast, the Writers, Actors, Director podcast, episode number 96. I am one of your hosts, Josh, and not fresh out, but certainly reminiscing about his time spent on the inside Facebook link. It's Brandon.
Yes, I'm wearing my really cool shirt that Josh bought me because I was constantly getting banned. What was it, like for like 4 months, Josh, I think? Like 30-day ban after 30-day ban?
I'm glad I'm the one that posts these things. Otherwise, nobody would see us.
I'm right. I'm just saying, like, it's, just cracks me the hell up. I mean, But
So
thank you
how
for the
been,
present.
my dude. How you been?
Good. Just gearing up for the wonderful world of work in the next 3 hours. So, yeah, that's about it. Loving life. Carpe diem, that's about it.
Carpe Canum.
And what about you? How's your little getaway with the family to Universal Studios in Orlando?
I thought we'd go down there and go to the, theme park once or twice, right?
Yeah.
No, we went pretty much every day for about a week and still didn't see and do everything.
Huh.
Universal, they had the tribute store in the park.
Yeah.
And for those of you that don't know, the Universal Studios tribute store, it's like the facade of a theater, right? And each, theater has a movie. And I don't know if this is done monthly or what, but the movies that were, playing were, E.T., Jaws, and Back to the Future.
See, we don't have that out here in California.
It's basically just a gift shop dedicated to whatever movies that, there happen to be paying tribute to, except they they go all out. I didn't really post any of the pictures. I should, but
you should, yeah.
The Back to the Future section, of course, which I naturally wept like a child in, featured the scale model of Hill Valley that Doc uses to demonstrate, the DeLorean time machine and the lightning strike, and he's like,
was it the screen used model?
I don't know, but
you think it would be?
Yeah, of all the people, and they had Doc's desk with like pictures and stuff of from not just of them on the movie set or things like that, but like very much in character stuff. That the plutonium carrier was below the desk. It was just awesome. It was
awesome. That sounds awesome. I would actually I would love to go to Universal Studios in Orlando. Maybe someday, but I would love to go.
That's we bought not entire season passes, but we bought passes good for the rest of the year.
Okay.
So we can go basically every day for the rest of the year if we want, but it's a 2.5 hour drive, and you know how it is.
Yeah. You see, our Universal Studios is about 45 minutes away from us, but we're we have a few theme parks within driving distance between Six Flags, Disney, Universal, but it's so far to go to SeaWorld, which is my preferred park down here because they just kind of have cooler shit there to me. But Universal, I had a lot of fun at Universal last time I went. It was actually quite a bit of fun. Give me 1 second here.
I will say I kind of lacked slagged a little bit in some of my duties. Been a little busy, but got as much as I could done with the tools that I had available. I took my laptop and I took my phone, of course. And on we'll say I can't say my downtime because technically it's all downtime, but when I wasn't doing things, I was like using the Adobe Creative Cloud to put together materials for Wadco and doing everything I could to make sure that my vacation also included some sort of work.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not the work that I get paid tons of money for, but in time, right? In time.
You know what? You get rewarded like emotionally. That's the important part.
It does.
But
it is.
It is. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yes.
You are correct,
Anyway.
sir.
But speaking of rewarding work, it's also rewarding our sequels.
And I
Transition.
Depends on who you ask. Yeah.
Hey, T2 is actually much better than than the original Terminator.
Yeah.
So
that goes without saying, sure.
Versus like things like Hangover 2 is pretty much the Hangover just in Thailand. So it really depends on who you go to with that kind of stuff. But you and I talked about like what we could like discuss this week.
Yeah.
And not just sequels though, but a series that spans the course of more than a decade. Like it's no secret to you or myself or anyone that loves Kevin Smith like we do, that Clerks 3, just the trailer for Clerks 3 dropped on the 6th, like 2 days ago. And it's been a long-awaited sequel for, I'd say, both of us. I've been waiting to see this since I left the theater in 2006 because there were so many more ways that they could like carry this on into this convenience store. I did not believe for a second that what I saw would be the end of the story for those two characters. They just both had so much more they could really dive into. I will say, though, that with the arrival of Clerks 3 this fall, the Jay and Silent Bob reboot just started. Was just released, rather, in 2019.
Yeah.
In that movie, we see that Randall Graves is wanted, right? Or he's been he's been missing. We see him hanging out, eating popcorn, big beard, and like on the down low. So I'm curious, like where they're going to go with that. If that's going to be included, or if it's just something we're supposed to like put aside, or what.
I'm pretty sure it'll be acknowledged in some way.
I hope so. But so like we had this idea of talking about sequels that are long awaited or are like I guess have been in development for a long time before they finally got released. Or like just got released decades later without the expectation of ever having been made at any point. And we have that with a few examples. We have Clerks, which Kevin Smith has been very vocal about the fact that he never thought that would be anything major. He just did it because he realized he could make a film. That's where Clerks came from. That's where his career started. He went bankrupt basically making this movie, thinking that even if it never goes anywhere, he can look back and say, you know what? That's me. I made this movie.
Something to show the grandkids,
Yeah, and here we are, 30 plus years later. And he actually, no, I'm sorry, almost 30 years later. And he is coming up in 2 years on his 30th anniversary of being a filmmaker. Now you can move on from that, though. You have this whole universe, but I don't look at the universe as being the important facet of things. I look at it as being Clerks in 1994, Clerks 2 in 2006, and Clerks 3 this year in 2022.
Clerks animated series.
But that was kind of like the real Ghostbusters to Ghostbusters. It's entertaining, but it's non-canonical to the actual series.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. But
that what the line that was cut from, what was it, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, where Randall's like, no wonder ABC canceled us.
Yeah. But yeah, so you have that The Odd Couple, one of my top 5 films of all time. I love The Odd Couple. Walter Matthau, Jack Lemmon. That movie came out in 1968. The Odd Couple 2 didn't come out for another 30 years, I believe, in 1998. And I don't know like the specifics behind it, but I knew the studio was interested in revisiting older properties, and Jack Lemmon, Walker Matthau were fresh off the train of Grumpy Old Men,
Mm-hmm.
and they proved that they could still be hysterical.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Grumpy Old Men was an instant classic once it was released. It was a hysterical film and very heartfelt, just like the original Odd Couple was. So we got that movie 3 decades later, where, as you put it earlier when we were talking on the phone, where their kids were getting married.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're forced to deal with each other's shenanigans again for the first time in a long time. But there's a lot of movies like that come out that have such a long span and a huge following. And it takes a while, but eventually follow up to that movie comes out. So, I mean, like in your mind, like what's one of your favorites that, they did that with?
With the expanded, with the unexpected question there, Brandon. How long was it between Boondock Saints and Boondock Saints 2? I know it wasn't like a decade, but there was some.
It was a while. Boondock Saints, it was close to it. Boondock Saints, I believe, came out was supposed to come out actually, I think in 1998. I think it actually did come out in 1999, but it was a limited release because of Columbine.
Mm.
Columbine greatly affected that movie, and Troy Duffy's attempts to get it out to the masses. So Boondock Saints was more of a cult hit, like a straight-to-video hit. That's where a large part of its returns came in. But I want to say, God, that's a good question. Let me see really quick here. I want to say roughly about 10 years. It was right around that mark. Let me see real quick here. Let's see. Oh, no, it was 10 years. Boondock Saints was released in 1999. Boondock Saints 2 was in 2009.
I can't say that Boondock Saints 2, lit my world on fire the same way that the first one did, but it was a sequel that, I was glad came. I just wish it were better.
It was more of a comedy to me than it was like the original. It's like the original was like this gritty shoot 'em up kind of film that had drama and everything else to it. It had stakes. Boondock Saints 2 didn't really have any of that. It was more slapstick to me.
As much as I am a fan of Clifton Collins Jr., he just wasn't Rocco.
No. And the brief scene that we got of Rocco in the afterlife, it wasn't the same. Like Rocco, they shouldn't have revisited. Now I get why they did that. I understand why they did that because they had to have something that psychs them up like they did in the first movie too.
Mm-hmm.
But the first movie, it did it in different ways, and even like Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe's character was vital to the original Boondock Saints.
Yeah.
I forget the actress's name, but his protege in that movie, it wasn't the same, and like the acting was over the top too in that one. And the acting in the first one was over the top as well, but the acting in Boondock Saints 2 was campy. It's like going from '89 Batman to Adam West Batman, but like a little darker version of Adam West.
Okay.
That's what Boondock Saints 2 was to me. It was like we went backwards and made it more, I don't know, like because they even had sound effects. Like the one guy said, like when oh God, what was the actor's name that played the Mexican?
Clifton Collins Jr.
That's it. Yeah, not even Hispanic. But when he comes in, like after like they take out everyone, and like he comes into the room and he is like, "Who asked for the ass whooping enchiladas?" And they're all like, just like, "That's stupid," like whatever. And then the detective, she's like, "You did kick in the door, didn't you?" And it goes back to it, and then like you hear like the ding dong noise, and then he says ding dong, mother, ding dong, and they're like, that's right, like it's just it's not the same.
Not certainly not. I'll tip her.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember a single line from Boondock Saints 2, but I'll quote the first one all day.
Like, over there grabbing her boobies, just rubbing it. I was like, I'll tip her. Oh man, and the rope scene. Come on.
Yeah.
Where'd you see this? Where'd you hear about this in a movie? I knew it.
Well, what are we going to need a rope for? Stupid dumb luck saves their life.
Well, I mean, stupid dumb luck saved their lives in like the first movie too, quite a bit. But it's like the first movie had like that beautiful cinematography.
Mm-hmm.
The whole scene where, the one brother is being like dragged through the alley, getting ready to be executed by the Russian mob. And then now you hear the other brother. You see the other brother. They were like care like after he like rips the toilet from the floor, and out the wall.
Flew of the cuckoo's nest right there.
Yeah, and he's like climbing up the steps, and he drops the toilet over here, and he jumps over here to get the guy with the gun. Like I mean, it had some beautiful cinematography, some amazing stunt work. This new one I don't know, like it seemed like in all the scenes whenever like the twins were killing people, it just became oversaturated. And it kind of like basic. Oh, go ahead.
I think it goes back to one of the problems that we always, we talk about frequently when it comes to sequels. If something that is kind of made with a pull up your bootstraps mentality, do what you can, tight budget, and it's done well. It's almost like by the time somebody gets the attitude to do a second one, or by the time a studio says, that was great, we need more, the money spoils the creativity.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, like what Troy Duffy did with the first one. And it's a shame because he's so severely... Ladies and gentlemen, if you've never heard about this, I need you to go do some research on this because it's actually really interesting. Troy Duffy blacklisted himself in Hollywood after Boondock Saints. He only has a handful of credits in his name, and it's barely any. I have directed more things than Troy Duffy has. But the thing is with Troy Duffy is that he was such an egomaniac after the first movie came out and after he got a name for himself that no one wanted to work with him. Right? It's like the Chronicles guy, whatever his name was. But even worse because the guy that made Chronicles, he made a few movies before he became like an arrogant twat. Troy Duffy was like one film and bam. Well, I used to bartend, now I'm a filmmaker. Well, no, you're still kind of went back to bartending. But then he came out with Boondock Saints too, thankfully. But I think that was the last thing he directed, and I know he's trying to get Boondock Saints 3 off the ground. But you're covering like 23 years now.
Yeah.
Like this would have been a better, like had he been more humble. We could have had Boondock Saints 1, 2, and if we needed it, 3.
And then the animated series, and then the HBO
closer
series.
Yeah, right. Yeah, HBO Max, like, oh, Boondock Saints, the series. Fox, like Boondock Saints, the series. You like Lethal Weapon? Here's Lethal Weapon, the series. You like Boondock Saints? Boondock Saints, the series. Like, but no, it's like it's one of those deals where he is to blame for the lack of production and, like, I guess, and all the resistance in making these movies. So, and he has been open about that too. I'll give him that. He has been very open about the fact that he's been the problematic part of that equation. So, but the Boondock Saints is a great example. But I'll go even further with and no one be surprised by me saying this, but with Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters Afterlife. Well, Ghostbusters. It was Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters 2, not counting the reboot, then there was Ghostbusters Afterlife. Some people count the video game in 2009. But removing video games and reboots, you have Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2, and Ghostbusters Afterlife. Ghostbusters 1 and 2 came out in like just a few short years apart from each other, 84, 89. So like 5 years there between the two. And then it took, 30 years, 31, 2, 3 years, 33 years.
Mm-hmm.
32 years, rather. I'm sorry, 32 years for the next movie to be released. And you get to see everything that built up to this. Like you hear all this backstory.
Yeah.
But what made this movie so great is that you're not fed the backstory on what happened. You know that Egon had a daughter, which was never made clear in the first Ghostbusters movies. I don't think it said like he was even living in the firehouse with them. But so Egon has a daughter. She has kids. Egon dies in the opening scene of Ghostbusters Afterlife. Probably the most emotional death in any movie I had to sit through in recent years. I cried like a baby. I was over here next to Danielle, like this. Oh, Egon! But it actually it's got mixed reviews. But I look at Ghostbusters Afterlife as a great movie because it's not directly following the original cast. It's a continuation of one of the characters' stories, and it's only really connected through Shandor Mines, the name Spangler, and the Ecto-1 and the Ghostbusting equipment. Beyond that, until we're reintroduced to Ray, and then at the very end we see Ray, Winston, and Peter. It's got nothing to do with anything Ghostbusters per se, like with the like the previous movies, but it's a direct continuation from the first film in lines of the return of that antagonist. So, and now because of the success of that film and the studio realizing that we shouldn't remake a beloved franchise, but maybe we should continue it. I believe there's another sequel coming out next year, Ghostbusters Firehouse. I think it's being called right now, but. I believe Finn Wolfhard and Ernie Hudson are coming back for it. I don't know about McKenna Grace, but it'd be a shame if she's not in it because she was amazing in that film. I think she was I think she was a highlight, even over Paul Rudd in that movie. Like she just stole the whole thing. But you have that, and then I mentioned earlier, you and I are huge Kevin Smith fans.
Yeah.
And he has not one, but two films of his that have sequels to each other that take place more than a decade apart. He has Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back and the Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Mm-hmm.
And then he has the Clerks movies, which is Clerks 1 in 1994, Clerks 2 in 1996, and Clerks 3 this year. So he's got like these two different sets of characters that have, of course, Jay and Silent Bob in common. But one thing I like about his movies is that his movies are very personal to him. Like the really good ones are personal stories. Like Dogma, Kevin Smith is Catholic. He's made mention about Catholicism, but his problems with that religion. And that's what Dogma was about. Like where his problems with, I guess, I don't know, like just like following religion so closely, right? But you have Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and then Jay and Silent Bob reboot. Strike Back was just like kind of like a slapstick comedy about those two. Reboot is pretty much Kevin Smith as he's gotten older and more wiser in his years. Like, yeah, that really great line of Ben Affleck at the end of the movie talking about how he's got a kid now. And he's not the star of the show anymore. Like now the kid's the star of the show and he's got to step aside.
Mm-hmm.
But Like, what are your thoughts on the whole Clerks thing? Like, what do you think? Like the importance of those? Oh, sorry, I hit the thing. What are your thoughts on like the importance of Clerks? Like the to Kevin Smith.
Well, I think I've touched on this before. The idea that Dante and Randall both basically being a part of him and reflecting, at least in Clerks and Clerks 2, where he is in life. And even from what we've seen with the trailer in Clerks 3, Randall having the massive heart attack, which, by the way, of all people, you would think it would be Dante that would have the heart attack.
Yeah.
Because he's always freaking out, and those characters give him a chance to reassess or reflect on where he is, in life, which is why it was kind of surprising to see the future of, the characters that reflect him go all the way back to the beginning with basically a story about making clerks.
Yeah.
That's like literally what it is. Randall's making clerks. That's what Clerks 3 is. And I wish that I was in a position to be able to address my, midlife in that way. Because I don't know if you knew this, and I just found out myself. When we get older, we only age one way. Apparently, we don't go backwards. And that can be a scary thought, especially me being the older wise, or one of the two of us.
I'm not wiser.
No, child. I'm 40. I've been on this planet longer.
You're mad because I'm 21 years old. Is that what this is?
Oh, I'm pissed off because not only will you say that you're 21 years old, but you can actually pass for it.
No, I cannot. I can pass it maybe 35.
You can't pass for it if you're tested like physically or, mentally. But if you just stand there and look pretty, you'll be fine.
No, okay. Well, then I'm going to go to like a frat party, not say shit, and not do anything. And let's see how long I'm allowed to be there.
At least you would fit in and be like, oh, he must be, Van Wildering this thing.
I graduated 5 years ago. You mean 15? Hey, fuck you, kid. There's my one. It was worth it.
Hello, fellow children. We're in our mid-20s. Why are you calling us children? Crap, they found me out.
It's like you got some kid like throwing up. I was like, hey, take care of the puppy.
I went to basically anywhere I go that I need some sort of customer service out of the ordinary. I'm the guy that walks up to the desk and I'm like, hi kids. And they're like, hi.
See, I don't call them kids. Like, you know what? I'm not going to get into our conversation from earlier about like the whole like babies and toddlers, but just yeah. Yeah, I don't call anyone like really kids. I call them like puppies. That's about it.
Yeah, that's much better. Much better. But
I mean,
getting back on point here. I did see I saw Top Gun Maverick this week.
I will be seeing it on Monday with a friend of mine.
I already saw it. We don't need to go.
Oh, with a different friend. You don't live in California.
Do you have a different friend?
Yeah, I got like maybe like 3 more.
Huh.
Yeah, I got like like what? 2 more.
Well, I'm gonna go see Thor tomorrow, so
good.
Fine. Great.
Good.
We have lives outside of each other.
No, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on Thor. I have unfortunately had the entire fucking thing spoiled for me.
Good.
So
Not that it got spoiled for you, but good that apparently there's something to spoil. So I can look
no,
forward to it a little bit.
there's quite a bit. So I hear it's pretty awesome.
But Top Gun, I won't go into spoiler territory, especially since audience listening and whatnot. The idea of being able to take this standalone Navy commercial from 50,000 years ago. Okay, I don't remember exactly when it was released. Right, 80 something.
Top Gun was 86.
86. Okay. Either way, Tom Cruise is 60 years old now. He's a 60-year-old man.
Is he 60?
Yes.
Jesus.
And
He needs to slow down.
he's still flying the jet planes in the movie. Now, there's a lot of hype when it comes to a couple of things. One, Miles Teller as Rooster. He's legit. Two, the action sequences with the jets. Basically, really the only reason anybody shows up to this thing, right? That's why you buy the ticket. See the
Pretty much.
big old jet sequences. And
Yep.
yeah, for the most part, it's all done in that let's strap a camera to the jet and see what happens. That style. There is, and this is the part that blows my mind. When there is any kind of CGI jet fighting or jet flying, it
Really?
stands out.
Yeah.
It really stands out because you're spending the majority of the movie watching actual jets do their thing. So when they're like, let's get the computers in there, it's like, oh, you're really not trying to blend this very well, and it's not great. But considering like I said, the vast majority of the action sequences with the jets are practical. They of course got full what's the word I'm looking for? The Navy helped, right?
Oh, okay. Cooperation.
Cooperation. There you go. Words.
Words.
It's a story that I think was worth telling, worth coming back to. Did we need to see Maverick again? Probably not. The original stands on its own as exactly what it is. It's a Navy ad. It's a recruitment tool. But to be able to come back to that character and tell not necessarily a new story, but continue to see this guy's life. That's what I go to a sequel for, especially a sequel that has been decades long removed from the original.
Yeah.
The idea for me is to see where these characters are in their lives now and how they're adapting to the world we live in.
Yeah.
And a lot of it also, it's something that I run into a lot with my day job, seeing that no matter how many generations pass, how many years pass, when it comes to people, every group, every generation thinks they're original, but the more you see, the more you realize everyone's basically still just the same. So when you're getting these new younger pilots, whether it's Rooster or whether it's Hangman, you see that they're also behaving the way that generations past have, because it kind of goes along with the territory. In this particular case, it goes along with the territory of their occupation.
Okay.
You have to have that swagger. You have to be a little cocky, because if you aren't, chances are you're going to be up there, doubting yourself, doing mock whatever, and you could wind up dead. So yeah, these new pilots are just as interesting, if in some cases not more so, than the ones from the original Top Gun. And Maverick is the one that's supposed to come in and teach them. I'm pretty sure that's all assumed from the trailers.
Sure. I don't know much about it. I just all I got from the trailers is that Maverick and Rooster have issues because Rooster blames Maverick for his father's death. That Maverick is having a hard time dealing with Goose's death after all these years. He still holds a lot of guilt over it, which I would assume he would. And then I also would let me just ask you something really quick. And this is me not seeing this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's been out long enough. I think we can actually talk about this, right? Without having seen Top Gun Maverick, going off of the trailers, I'm going to assume that there is a moment where they're about to go actually engage in battle. I assume that Maverick is the command or the commander for this group, right? Like he's like the head of these kids, basically.
Do I need to throw up the spoiler banner?
I don't know if I'm spoiling anything. I'm asking. But you probably should so we can talk about this.
All right. Spoilers for Top Gun Maverick. The banner is up. I'm going to give it I don't know. We'll say
2 minutes. Yeah. So
2 minutes. So hold on. At the 38-minute mark, we will begin with the spoilers. And spoilers are coming in 2, 1, go.
All right. So I'm going to assume that Maverick is in charge of these kids, right? Like he's in charge. He has like top say over them, right? Okay. Is he the head of the group? Is he the commander for them? He picks and chooses who goes and who doesn't.
He's okay, here's this. John Hamm is there, and he's the one that's kind of like the big boss, and he hates Maverick. But he has a boss that trusts Maverick to
Iceman.
Make the final decision.
Which is Iceman. So
and then
I think I'm right. I think it's Iceman. I think Iceman is the one that's ahead of everything, and he cares about Maverick.
Okay, the spoiler tag is up, so I'll just go and say yes. Iceman is the admiral in charge.
Okay, so I'm right then. So he trusts what Maverick does. Yes. So all Maverick has to do is go over his immediate commander's head, and even if he doesn't, Iceman will still trust his judgment. I would have guessed that there is a scene where Rooster, Goose's kid, decides that he wants to go fight. And Maverick doesn't want to let him because he does not want to risk losing, him because of his affection towards, his guilt towards Goose.
No, never.
He doesn't want. Oh, wow. Okay.
In fact, that's the reason he picks him to fight.
Oh, okay. I was going to imagine that there's a point where he's struggling with sending him or keeping him grounded.
Oh, there's a struggle, but he automatically makes what's the right choice. And by the way, Rooster's not upset at all about Maverick and his dad.
Oh, okay.
He's a pilot himself. He understands that things happen.
Okay. So he's just a little prick.
No, there was another reason, but I spoiler.
That's fine. Well, I'll see it on Monday, so that's fine. But I mean, I'm impressed with how much I got right so far, though, just from going off the trailer.
Well, I mean that might be just
Please.
yeah, you got a good, premonition there, buddy, but we do recall that trailers give away too damn much these days.
And I would say, hopefully, Tom Cruise dies, but it's a Tom Cruise movie, so we know he's not going to. He needs to sacrifice himself once or twice. But it's cool. Next Top Gun movie will be like Top Gun meets A Few Good Men when he's getting sued by the family for that article.
For the article?
Yeah, like the whole thing that Top Gun is based on.
Oh,
the original Top Gun. And they didn't have the rights to do another movie based off of that. And they went ahead and did without notifying the family of the late author of that article, and have gotten sued severely for making this movie without notifying the family. Oh yeah, they got sued, man.
I mean, are there plans for another Top Gun movie? Is Top Gun?
I hope not. I hope not.
Let's see.
Like, they better not go the way of Fast and Furious, because that's just insane.
Miles Teller says he's trying to talk Tom Cruise into a third movie.
Oh God.
I think he's liking the attention with the mustache.
Like, why though? And it's like, and I'm not just saying that because I don't want sequels. Well, I don't. I think sequels are usually pretty bad. But even as someone that loves Ghostbusters, I don't see the point of carrying the franchise further. It's going to happen. The studio's going to make a lot of money off of it. Mm-hmm. I just don't see the point. Now, Top Gun, I haven't seen Top Gun Maverick yet. I'm going to see that in 2 days, right. 2-3 days. So when I see it, I'll be able to make up my mind. And I'll even shave all this off. I'll go with a mustache.
Very good. Very good.
But
now I will say this, without going into more spoiler territory, especially when it comes to who makes it out, right? Who survives? I will say this. I don't think you can do a Top Gun 3. It has nothing to do with the characters, because there are some characters that I would love to see, and I would love to see over and over again. But the idea of, all right, we're bringing everybody back to Top Gun again. It's
now it's Tom Cruise and Miles Teller teaching a class. Like, they're teaching now.
Well, that's the thing. Everybody that Tom Cruise teaching is a Top Gun graduate already.
Oh, okay.
So he's not teaching the school. Just the idea, though, that now for some weird third reason, everybody's got to go back to Top Gun school. Now, if they want to break off into some sort of different direction with the franchise, I'd be all for it. I'm more of a series guy, so I'd prefer it be on like a streaming service, and maybe just I wish they would just get rid of the Top Gun title altogether for whatever they move forward with, because again, nonsensical if you're not actually in the school.
Yeah,
but they'd have to find a way to make more aerial combat necessary in a world where, guess what? We don't really see a whole lot of dogfights.
Yeah.
And anybody with any kind of, and I mean any kind of knowledge of, military stuff will tell you that the premise around the action in this movie was a stretch. Like, it was beyond a stretch. It was laughably weak. But to build the tension, to to heighten the story, they took a hell of a lot of liberties with a lot of capabilities of certain countries.
Okay.
So it's I just don't see how they could get a third story in the manner that they did the first two.
Well, I'm going to have to find out on my date with this woman Natalie on Monday night. I don't not date, but whatever.
I'm surprised I didn't see anything like fly into frame, smack you in the face.
The door's closed.
Ah,
Like, this is a man cave.
should I wait for the delay? Is girlfriend watching?
You act like anyone else I know watches this show. Dude, we're Wayne's World, okay? Minus the cool music.
I wish we had the cool music. In fact,
Oh, right.
I was listening to music with the 13-year-old on the way back from Orlando today, and we were listening to what was it? Ballroom Blitz by Swede.
Okay.
Swede? Is it the original artist?
Okay.
And I was like, no, this isn't even a good version. Hold on. And I switched it over to Tia Carrera from the Wayne's World soundtrack. And I'm like, yes, that's the Ballroom Blitz.
God.
They're one of my favorite fictional bands.
Well, real quick, because I'm going to have to get out of here because I do have to work tonight and I've got to get ready and all that stuff. We had one more part of the show, which is like, I have a sequel idea, but what is your sequel idea? Like, what do you have in mind?
First of all, none of my original movies with these ideas are within the last 20 years. So everything is 20 plus years past. And I have 3 pitches for sequels to older movies. So, okay, I'll just start off with a sequel to My Cousin Vinny.
Okay.
Here's what happens. Vinny has become a respected lawyer and then judge. But upon hearing his possible nomination to whether it's, state or federal Supreme Court, he has to deal with those actions from his time in a Southern court, that you might recall in the first movie, as well as he's trying to win back because he hears that nominees get more favor if they're married. So after all this time, he's still only engaged. So it's a little bit of a rough patch. And so he has to win her back as they're trying to look into what happened when he was being a lawyer for his cousin. And she thinks that he's also completely changed, that he's trying to be one of these, uppity, snobby judges. And she wants, her old Vinny back. So he's balancing this work, personal life thing while being, possibly investigated for, going under a pseudonym in the South.
Okay.
So I think it would be hilarity for all. The sequel to My Cousin Vinny.
Okay.
Call it Judge Vinny if you want. Sure. All right, second on the docket. You know what? I'm gonna skip ahead to my third because I think my second one actually has some pretty good legs. A sequel to Billy Madison.
All right.
I know what you're thinking. What? How? I'll tell you what. Billy Madison has taken over Madison Hotels, and it has been doing it for decades now. Married to his beautiful wife, Veronica Vaughn. And he's at the point where he's looking at possibly retiring. But he's got a problem with his kid. But it's not the problem that his dad had with him. No, his kid takes after his mother. Very studious, very smart, never had a problem in school, dull. But Billy thinks that how can you possibly run this hotel chain if you never actually lived a life outside of academics? So he challenges his kid to basically the same thing he did, except instead of trying to, make the grade, he's like, no, you got to go kindergarten through 12th grade, and you have to learn how to be social. You have to learn how to make friends.
Okay.
So that's my sequel to Billy Madison.
All right.
And finally, and I think this one actually has the most legs here, a sequel to Last Action Hero.
Oh, God.
Exactly. It says, Jack Slater is back for one more case. Again. Danny, the little boy from the first movie, is now a screenwriter. And he gets an opportunity to write the final Jack Slater film. And the only thing he can think of is to go visit his old friend and find out how he wants to, end the Jack Slater story. So he goes back into the film. But of course, things go wrong as some old enemies and new have come to rewrite Jack Slater's final chapter themselves.
Okay.
But the idea is to take a real meta look at unnecessary sequels and franchises that get done to death.
Okay.
Kind of like how they were just making fun of all the action hero tropes in the first one. Do it again, except we're doing those sequel tropes.
Okay. I can see that.
And those are my 3 ideas for sequels from movies that are older than 20 years.
Okay. I only have one, and it's for a movie that's just coming up on the 20-year mark. It has a sequel already, but I don't really count the sequel. But I guess if I'm going to count the sequel, make it a threequel. 28 months later.
Okay.
I would love to revisit Danny Boyle's world of not a zombie apocalypse, but pretty much a pandemic. Because at the end of 28 days later, the good ending is where they are at a cottage and they're sewing. Selena's sewing like that giant banner that so they spelled the words hello. And they're hoping that the planes see them so they can rescue them. The bad ending is that Jim dies. But then there's a sequel 28 weeks later, where now London has reopened to the public. Parts of it are still isolated, strict quarantine. And you find that there are people who are carriers of this rage virus. Like they can get bit, but they don't turn. They just carry it and they pass it along through saliva, blood, whatever. I would like to see a sequel of 28 months later where you have survivors mixed with these people who are carriers, but like the split into different sections of communities. The fear and everything else, like the polarization between these two parts of the world that are not yet touched by this virus. Like what happens, like the areas of the world where the rage virus has not reached them. Because the rage virus is a very quick-acting virus, right?
Yeah.
It takes seconds for you to turn into one of those infected. So there has to be parts of the world where you might be infected, you might be a carrier, but like the parts of the world that have no infected people, I would like to see this movie, if it goes anywhere, the one person left that is infected that has evaded extermination. They are the last infected person. And because they evaded extermination and they hid the fact that they're carrying it, they end up spreading it all over again. As the world is rebuilding after, like 2.5 years of what happened in between London and Paris. I'd like to see that. I think it'd be interesting. I think it actually would make a lot of sense for it to come out, especially this day and age. So, but that's my one. Because I am going to have to get going in a minute here, so I can get ready to go to work.
It was a good one.
Yeah. That and Shaun of the Dead 2. I would like to see that. I think it'd be hysterical if like the zombie apocalypse happened again. I don't really have like any kind of, or we can have Bernie's 3. This time Bernie is like a skeleton.
Yeah, I was going to say, won't he be a little ripe?
Yeah, decayed. Yes. I mean, he should have been more decayed in Weekend at Bernie's 2.
How about the combination of Weekend Bernie's and Shaun of the Dead?
There we go. That actually, how about this? How about what was that I was thinking about earlier? Ace Ventura. Okay, let's see. Ace Ventura and Jurassic Park. Jurassic World, whatever.
I think we just thought of something to talk about next week. Unlikely crossovers.
That'd be awesome. But on that note, I do have to get going.
You just want to get out of here before I hit that music.
That too. But no, I do have to get going. But either way, everybody, hope you guys had a great week. I will not be on the show next week. I don't know if Josh is going to do anything without me. But I will not be here next week. I'm going to be in New Mexico visiting family. And even if I wanted to be on the show next week, I don't know how I would do it unless it's during my layover. In which case it would be hysterical. But I don't know if I can really swing that. But in case you guys have a great week, a great weekend, follow me at bjacksman82 on Instagram or the WADcast on Instagram, Facebook, thewadcast.com, wherever. But you guys have a great week, great weekend. Josh, I will give you a call in a little while here, okay?
All right, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Bye-bye.
Well, I guess by the sound of the music, it's time to wrap things up. Had a lot of fun tonight. Had a lot of fun talking about sequels that have taken forever and a few we want to see. I enjoyed myself. I hope you enjoyed yourself too. If you want to follow me on Twitter, just go to @skidcomic. And if you want to find links to all of the other stuff, go to WADcoMedia.com. Don't forget to join us every Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 Pacific for TV Dinners. It's a new show. And then if you want to see Brandon and myself every week, it is right here, Friday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, for the WADcast, the show that you just watched. Good times, good times. And if you like any of those ideas that I floated out there for possible sequels, let me know. And how can you make it better? Drop some comments wherever you're watching this. And don't forget to, rate, review, subscribe, whatever it is the kids say these days. But because the music's playing, that means I have to give you the final thought, the final message of the show that we do each and every week. Because it doesn't change, not really. Remember, kids, boys and girls, all of you out there, the only thing standing between you and your dreams is you. That's right, you are holding you back. If you want to be a writer, guess what? You have the tools. Just write. If you want to make a movie, take your phone, take your video camera, take whatever it is you have, and just start creating. And don't wait until tomorrow, because you never know what tomorrow brings. You don't even know if there's going to be a tomorrow. Do it today. Start following your dreams today. Stop getting in your own damn way. You can make it happen, and only you can make it happen. So until next time, everybody, I'm Josh. Brandon was here earlier. I want to say thank you all for joining us, and I hope you all have a great week. See you next time.